I'm MK. Thank you for your presentation. I didn't see anything about shadow shares. Can you shed some light, or should they stay in the dark? Shadow shares.
Shadow shares. I mean, yes. I mean, we don't see a lot of activity or funding on in terms of shadow shares. I mean, by shadow shares, I mean I think of kind of derivative securities or securities that would effectively ultimately be tied to what you later do in a future round. So I mean, they have similarities to even a convertible equity arrangement where, you know, the shadow share is effectively a placeholder, in my understanding and experience in terms of seeing the term being used, where if it's intended to simply be a placeholder that will then basically reflect the terms of a later funding round and mirror those terms in many ways, then, you know, that's fine, you know, regardless of what you call it. If it's effectively, you know, similar approach to a convertible equity instrument, I mean, that can work. One thing, regardless of, you know, whether you call it a shadow share or convertible equity or convertible debt, one thing that companies have experienced is, you know, it's tempting to raise money as convertible equity or convertible debt or shadow shares. It allows you to defer the valuation issue and continue to defer it. And we've seen companies that'll do multiple rounds of convertible debt or convertible equity over, you know, 2-3 year period before they do a Series A round. And it's nice in the sense the company's getting the funding it needs and they're not arguing with anyone about overvaluation, but the companies will eventually find themselves in a situation where, you know, they might have a $3 million convertible debt load or $3 million in convertible equity, and then they go to negotiate a Series A financing where a Series A investor is going to come in and invest $3 million all at once, and you have to explain to that Series A investor that, oh, by the way, in addition to your $3 million, we'll be rolling $3 million of this convertible equity into the A round as well. So even though you're putting in all the money now, you're going to be sort of a 50% holder of the Series A, or more likely a 40% holder, because by the way, the $3 million is going to convert in at a discount to your price. So you might be paying $1 a share, but the convertible equity is going to be paying 75 cents a share. So, you know, unfortunately, you're going to be a minority in your own round, and that doesn't sit well with the Series A investors. So what you end up seeing is the new round investors will say, it's fine that you have a bunch of convertible equity that's going to roll in, but we'd like that money to roll in before we invest so that we are not diluted by it. It's not part of our round. Why don't you roll that convertible equity in at 75 cents a share before the Series A? And so instead of having sort of 5 million founder shares, let's say your pre-money valuation is $5 million. And so normally, if you were doing sort of 5 on 5, you would price the Series A at $1 a share because effectively your valuation is 5 million and you have 5 million founder shares. Now they would say, well, you've got to convert your convertible equity in, and that's going to, you know, result in the issuance, let's say, you know, of another 5 million. So now you have 10 million shares before the Series A. So the Series A price is now 50 cents a share instead of $1 a share, because the Series A investors, they still expect their percentage to remain intact. And so oftentimes if you have a large convertible equity or convertible debt load that's going to roll in, the new money will say, well, hold on a second here. That's not coming in as part of our round. Do that first, and then we'll close our round. And so, you know, it just means that there will be, you know, additional dilution to the founders before the Series A round comes in. And ultimately, you know, deals still get done, but you end up with a Series A and a Series A-1 or a Series A and a Series B happening within a few days of each other.